him in, and you'd better flee now before it's too late, because my guest is Cliff High. And last month when he was with us, he spoke of something bad happening in the fall. He said that he wouldn't have the results until later in June. And then I heard...
Drop in from Arcturus or the Pleiades or something. Well, basically what we're doing is a predictive linguistics study, gathering large amounts of data on the Internet, sifting at an archetype level that might be understood by somebody like Carl Jung or one of the Taoist archetype creators. And then we use those as a predictor for what's going to happen in forecasting broad social moves down to fairly nitty-gritty kind of forecasts as well in the near term. And it's been reasonably successful, better than chance would allow. It's not 100% accurate. We miss stuff, but as I say, it's better than you're going to get just taking a stab at it, a guess, or going with the odds makers.
And so what someone did is they took something that you had behind firewalls that could not be read by the Google. Correct. It was our copyrighted product. They took it and stripped off all of the anti-copy protection and so forth, and then put it out on the net, and also put it out on these BitTorrents, which actually turned out to be more damaging to us because it came back into the net in several different areas that were unexpected, and so I had to go back and rewrite filters and stuff. But so, in other words, the very fact, I mean, they cost you your subscriptions. I mean, that's how you make the money to continue to do the work, which is extremely, extremely expensive. But more than that, by what they did, they damaged the results. The potential in the next run, they made it that much harder, correct. Right. But it's as though universe is, heaping a lot of things and obstacles in our path, because not only have we had to deal with this, we've had to deal with the recent introduction of what amount to censorship filters over all of Australia, and a giant shutdown of some frequently had been, or in the past had been available to us servers out of Vietnam and Southeast Asia that are now under have been bought out by a Chinese ISP, and the rules that China has block a lot of our activities. So we've lost a number of our sources there. Now, on the other hand, there's been an expansion recently in our access to northern China via Russian and Ukrainian servers, and as long as they don't get into a war over there, we've gotten probably 9,000 or 10,000 new sites just in that one area. So it's sort of compensating. The biggest problem that you have is getting all of your stuff up on the servers, because I would imagine this is massive, probably bigger than the Library of Congress. No, I've actually worked in larger projects when I worked for the phone companies. There we would process 100 million records a day, because I worked on the software and the network stuff on the back side of things, in what's known as the billing and rating channel on the SS7 protocols. In any event, so we would do 100 million records a day. Now, I'm doing 100 million reads overall per run, and that's maybe 100 million reads stretched over 18 to 28 days. So it's big, but I don't think it's quite that large. In fact, as I say, I've done larger projects just on straight numbers, who owes who what for a phone call. But this was a little bit more complex, yeah. But you weren't the one paying the bills for the And that's quite correct. That's quite correct. I didn't buy my own electricity when I was working for the phone companies, yeah. And that's, people cannot understand how much we pay for servers. Oh, yeah. And they're constantly breaking down, and you're always buying new disk arrays for your RAID pack, and you've got small fires. You got to keep them cool. There's the air conditioning and the hot weather. There's backup. There's all the tape issues. It becomes a nightmare. Yeah. Well, you said that it's about $25,000 a month, and how has the theft of everything affected you? Have people continued their subscriptions? We're not on subscriptions anymore. It's a per sale kind of a deal. You're not obligated. You just come and you buy it for $10, and then if you don't ever want to buy another one because you think we're all full of hoodoo and voodoo and all kinds of strange stuff, well, that's fine. And it's been okay. We've met our expectations. We've got our our Igor fellow here, our dedicated network hunchback with the servers in the new location, and he's gotten, actually we've been able to save some costs there because the people who are providing our bandwidth are in the same situation as a lot of other businesses, and that is that a lot of their former clients are going out of business, and so they're a little bit more desperate, so we were able to negotiate a better deal this time. So in the end, the universe kind of all balanced out. I was a little bit irritated about 3 extra weeks of writing filters and then having to run this thing for 2 weeks early just to scrub before I get into interpretation. But on the whole, we're less damaged than I thought we would be when it occurred. Does that make sense?
Yes, that does make sense because, I mean, when I first heard about it, I think I heard it on Jeff Rentz, I thought for sure you were shutting down completely.
And we thought we would have to because we hit, I think I found 100,000 versions of our report out there in various different areas.
Yeah.
And a lot of it was repetitious through this BitTorrent. Once I discovered how that was propagating, I was able to work out algorithmically where it would show up, and in the main I've been pretty good about that. We still run into it occasionally, but I took a different tact here and wrote a smart filter construction software, so it's kind of like a filter wizard, if you will, and I can plug in a few values and it'll grind away 90% of the code I need. So that was worth taking the time off to do.
But what if the same guy downloads your new one and does the same thing with it?
Well, we're looking at various technical solutions. We've got the ability now to wrap it in an exe format, but there's some trade-offs. And we can technically prevent people from copying it and this sort of thing and get it. It's a strange little process where when you download it, you have to get a key, if you will, a password to unlock the file on your machine in order to be able to read it, and then you can't copy it, but you can print it. But the trade-off is that it's going to take about 9 megabytes to download this approach, and then you have to have internet connection to validate the key, and then there's all these other potential glitches. So I just don't know. We're looking at other issues or other approaches to the issue, and we'll know more by the 21st of September, which is our theoretic posting date for the next one. I'm going to start the interpretation regardless of our having reached a solution, or without regard to our having reached a solution technically for this, because the two are not necessarily in the same path.
Okay. Now, those results that you said that you would have in late June, did you get them, or were they completely destroyed by what happened?
No, we were able to do that work before we ran into the issues in late July with the theft of the material. So that was the stuff that was what we call our immediacy values. You have to understand that what we do is we send our data gathering software out there, typically called spiders, S-P-Y-D-E-R-S. And these spiders going out, and they basically just go out on the web as little critters and come back and haul back data with them. Now, when we haul the data back, we slice it into 3 broad categories after going through our scrubbing process. And those 3 categories are immediate, short-term, and long-term. And long-term data frequently has things in it like legal language and things that are going to affect your life for a long term, but they don't necessarily have any immediate impact on you. And short-term stuff is, you might think of as, I get jury duty in 2 months, that kind of a thing, right? So it's going to have an impact on your life. It's a known period of time, and it'll happen within X number of days. Immediacy data is all the stuff that's going to come rushing at you over the next few days, up to about 3 to 4 weeks. So in late June, we were getting forecast, and primarily what we were waiting for was the immediacy data that would reflect the time that we're currently in or rapidly approaching. And so, we were able to get that data, and it pointed to the continuation of what we call a temporal marker chain. And this is where we would say that, X is going to happen in this week of July, and Y will happen the next week, and Z the week after. And so if X happens, you have a higher confidence that Y will happen, and if X and Y happen, you have a pretty high degree of confidence that Z will happen. Make sense?
Yes.
Okay. And so our data was suggesting that we're going to get a whole series of temporal markers that will start in the week between August 16th through the 22nd that will come out and be effective of the general population relative to both geopolitical events, but primarily primarily economic events driving everything else. And so the data sets, these are in a temporal marker chain that goes all the way up through fall and shows some pretty nasty things coming relative to the economy.